So yeah, we're back. Rambling a bit earlier, of course, because there's certain subjects, well, there's a lot of subjects that really get to me. And, I mean, it's not Veterans Day per se that gets to me. I have no doubt, like I said before, there were people, doesn't matter which war it was, we can go all the way back to the beginning of time. There's always been war. Of course there's always been war. Anytime one man has something that another one doesn't, or anytime that someone feels slighted, or someone feels that their land, their kingdom, their whatever it is, isn't big enough, they need more resources. War has always been part of what goes on this planet. Sad, but true. And with more wars comes more technology, and people invest more money to find new ways of killing people. That's what war is. Killing, pillaging, burning, stealing, plundering, looting, and at some point there's sometimes some protecting and sometimes some defending. But overall, war, like I said before, is a power game. That's all it's about. And like I said, I've seen people with their little mournful faces on. I watched it all this weekend when I was watching my footy. In the morning, before every game, everyone stands in a circle, a minute's silence for all those that have lost their lives. And let me just say, I've watched not 1,000, but tens of documentaries, read a bunch of books, even heard first-hand accounts of individual acts, team acts, platoon acts, regiment acts of bravery, of heroism, of valor. On the battlefield, people saving each other's lives, people, the stories are endlessly going on, and that's all well and good. That's all well and good. However, you have to step back these days. That's the thing. Like I said, let's take World War II, for example. How in the world, well, there were people that knew, because there's documentation and paperwork to know, that the Japanese were pretty much forced into attacking America by America and the other Allies, because the Allies could not have won the Second World War without America coming into it and ending up using the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But what you have to ask yourself is, in this day and age, with all the documentation, with all the ways of communication, with all the websites, with all the news outlets, we can, I can talk to somebody in Bulgaria, I can get news from Bulgaria, I can talk to somebody in Brussels, in Chile, in Morocco, in fucking Antarctica if I wanted to. I could get on Skype with an Eskimo right now if I wanted to and ask him what the temperature was there, blah blah blah, and I could find out anything I wanted. And in this day and age, with the internet and all that, you have to pick through and see and check the facts. Trust but verify is always how it goes. But there's enough backup now to understand that the majority of the wars we as Western civilization get into are completely meaningless to the average person. It's just sold and packaged in such a way that people don't mind giving their tax money towards killing innocent civilians and blowing up, industries and economies and streets and buildings and houses and shopping malls and all that stuff. That's what that's what it's all about. And with all the movies and all the propaganda and all the TV shows romanticizing war and this and that, it's disgusting. And I posted something on Facebook earlier, and I'm not going to read it right now, but it pretty much said that it's Veterans Day, but if you take a look at the world today, what's really changed? 2001, so 13 years, almost 13 years after the fact. Well, it'd be 10 years now that we went into Iraq, into Afghanistan, and what's changed? I thought we were fighting radical Islam and radical Muslims, and yet, no, we're not. And then you try and, you says, oh, Al-Qaeda. The United States, CIA, and MI6 of England created, and probably with the Mossad of Israel, created Al-Qaeda. Do you not understand that? Go look it up. Go look when the Russians entered into Afghanistan. You know, during the Cold War, Russians into Afghanistan. U.S. couldn't just say, oh, we're going to go in there and, attack the Russians. So what'd they do? They got a bunch of Afghanis together, and, they trained them, they funded them, they gave them strategy. I'm sure there was a bunch of, people that spoke Afghani. I don't know what language is there, but they probably spoke English too, and they probably put their agents in there that spoke Afghani, probably looked Afghani, probably of rich, oil or natural resources people that probably lived in London, probably lived in New York, probably lived in other countries, went to American schools, went to British schools, got British education, American education, either one. They got it all, and then they were sent in to fund and to back the so-called Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. It was a CIA creation right off the bat. And then you say you're going to go in there and fight Al-Qaeda? You're going to go in there and fight what you created? Well, of course, that's the way it works. You create a problem, you bring in the solution to the problem, and then you just get the exact reaction you want out of it. Fucking idiots. So this is the question I want to ask you. There's not going to be anybody listening to this, obviously, and this is more of a, an internet vocal diary, because I'm one of the people that believes that once a word is spoken, once a thought is expressed, it goes out into the wide universe, and goes on towards some, ultimate intelligence is actually projecting a constant stream and a constant flow of energy and information, which is what the world's made up of, energy and information. And so what I say now, maybe somebody's on Spreaker, going through, and they click on this on accident, or maybe somebody hears this, or maybe something I say to somebody puts them in a good mood or a bad mood, and that affects them, and then somebody asks them, oh, well, why are you in such a bad mood? Or, why are you in such a good mood? Oh, I was on Spreaker.com, and I was just going through, and I saw this thing it was called the Freckles Show, and it had a picture of kind of an angry-looking red-headed freckly dude, and there was a picture of a hanging lamb and a death poster behind it, and so I clicked on it, and all of a sudden he was raging and, talking down bad about the military and all that, and then they can discuss that, and then that might move them on to a similar discussion. Maybe something will penetrate their thoughts, or they'll curl up into a ball and hide behind their belief system that they already have. But here's the question I have for people today, in this day and age. We can look back to, the First World War, the Second World War, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, whatever wars that humanity has been in. There was no information, there was no technology, everything was Morse code, and everything was, so encrypted, and so only the power and the communication was only held by a very, very small amount of people. But in this day and age, in the Twitter age, the Facebook age, the instant communication age, you cannot get away with that anymore. So you have to ask the question, in this day and age, if you're in the military, or if you just recently enlisted, or you're thinking of joining the military, you have to ask yourself, why would you do that? Who are you fighting, and what are you fighting for? Don't tell me that you're fighting to protect, the Constitution of the United States of America. If you were fighting that, you wouldn't even go into the army. You would join a political group, because the American Constitution is under attack right now, right here today and tomorrow, and it has been for countless years, probably since FDR, of course, who took us into the Second World War. Oh yeah, and then of course Truman finished it off. But it was FDR to start with, baby. Don't forget that. Don't forget that one bit. New Deal. That's what we've got. How we've got today. Look at all the things he set up: Social Security, Medicare. Yeah. But why would you sign up today? Who are you going to go fight for? Are you fighting for me? If you are, don't do it, because you're not fighting for me. Well, who are you protecting us from? Are you protecting us from a bunch of people in caves in some third world shithole? Do they have a standing army? Do they have a standing navy? No, they don't. Is there any imminent threat to the United States of America that you need to protect America on different shores? No, not at all. So why are there so many American bases all around the world? And I'm going to focus on specifically America, because for the simple fact of this, if you lived, we're going to go with the Second World War again, okay? The First World War, most people don't know a whole bunch about that, but it all started because one person, was it Archduke Ferdinand of like Bulgaria or somewhere, got assassinated, but that was all a stage game anyways. The simple fact is, if you lived in Europe, and the puppet Hitler, who was pretty much a front man for that, none of those were his ideas. We know that Mein Kampf and his little New World Order book were ghost-written and just had his name stamped on them, and that he was a puppet. Most of these world leaders we know are puppets. Today, you take a look at it, look at Cameron, look at Hollande, look at Merkel, look at Obama, for example. They're all puppets. They're all dancing on strings to somebody else. And at the end of the day, you people are going to have to understand who and what, where, when, and why, and how this world is being manipulated by a very, 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 very minute, small amount of absolutely out of their mind, wacko, insane motherfuckers, okay? Some of them not even of this dimension. Some of them not even of this species. Some of them not even of this race. And some of them don't even live on this planet. But that's a little too far for you to go. Yeah, and so let's just say that you were in Europe. I talked to my father earlier, and he heard from my grandpa that when he walked out of his house, I mean, he was too young to enlist in the military, but he did after the war. But if you go outside your house, I went outside my house right now, and I heard air raid sirens, I saw fires to the left of me, to the right, behind and in front of me. Then guess what? It's grab my gun, grab my knife, grab my cock, we're going at it. Who the fuck is coming to get me, alright? Who is coming to try and take my life? I'm going to meet you halfway and fuck your world up, alright? That's what I'm going to do. But no, for World War II, for example, America just sitting there pretty. Industrial revolution's booming, economy's booming, blah, blah, blah. Hitler marches into Poland, blah, blah, blah. Starts marching, on France and heading towards the United Kingdom. America just stayed out of it. They had to sit on the side and do nothing because they wanted to do the isolationist thing. However, like I said, if you were in Poland, Czechoslovakia, well, it was Czechoslovakia at the time, yeah. The Netherlands, Finland, anywhere in Europe at the time, you knew that Hitler was marching towards you, so you had to go cut him off. And of course, he was, teamed up with the Chinese and the Russians and all that. But you have to ask yourself, the only way that America could have got into that fight was if they were attacked. And once again, the only reason they did that was because, so Japan attacks America. And all of a sudden, America sends all of its troops into Europe. I mean, they have a battle in the Pacific, obviously, but they send a bunch of troops to Europe. Why don't they just all go to the Pacific? That's who attacked you. But no, you see, how it works is that America had to get Japan to declare war on the United States of America. Therefore, Hitler would in turn declare war on the United States of America, meaning that America coming to the war on the side of the Allies. So they were conned into doing that. And most people, wouldn't know it. You look back now and you see that, and that's why they have things like, we're going to put, a 50-year, classified stamp on most things. This came out in like 2004, or I believe it was like 1994. All the releases, all the communiques, all the commentary and all the admissions from all the people that worked in all the different assets all over the world came out, from Japanese to Chinese to German to, French and Russian and British, all the intelligence agencies, all the double agents, all the triple agents, all the communications, all the, workings of how that war worked. But in this day and age, you have to ask yourself, what are you fighting for? Right now, on the 11th day of the 11th month of 2013, what are you fighting for? Are you still fighting because, a bunch of people in caves attacked you on 9/11, huh? What if you're a 19-year-old kid? You were 9 years old when that happened. Have you been wanting to get into the military for all that time? Huh? Just been chomping at the bit to go kick ass and take names, huh? Boots to asses, yeah? Yeah, get a nice little gun and a little hat and a little badge, a little medal, a little matching uniform like everybody else. Go do some push-up and hang out with a bunch of dudes and a bunch of bros. the whole time, having people yelling at you, yes sir, no sir, yeah I understand sir, yeah 3 laps sir, hey 1-800-5 hours, boy, you did it, and you better listen to me, cause I'm gonna be your daddy from that one, you listen to me, boy, you understand, boy, you do what I say, boy. Who the fuck wants to put up with that anyway? What kind of human being would want to be yelled at and treated like a fucking animal? Wearing the same uniform. You're gonna have your bed made the same way, and I better not see that sub 1 inch away from there, boy, and you're gonna do me 800 down, and then you're gonna do some else, and then you're gonna clean this, all the fucking time. Who the fuck wants to listen to that? But then again, that's the thing. You see, that's the thing. Some people are good for nothing else but taking orders and following them out, and getting little attaboys and little badges and little commendations and this and that. And you're good protecting your country, son. Yeah, you're gonna be an American hero. Everyone's going to salute you when you're walking down the street, and they're going to give you the utmost respect. You said you serve your country. Yes, you did. You cleaned out the toilets and latrines in the submarine that was just outside Portugal. Yeah, that's a good thing, boy. You're an American hero. But you're not, you see. There is no war right now. You're going to go into the Middle East and grow the fucking opium like they do over there in Afghanistan? Went from 10% of the world's supply of opium to over 90% since America went into Afghanistan. Oh, it's all about war. It's all about democracy. It's all about freeing a bunch of people. No, it's about the fucking opium bastards. And they ship it in over here and get everybody addicted and hooked on it so they can fill the prisons. And pretty much the same people that own the prisons, the military-industrial complex, also fund all the wars and also get all the contracts for all the places that were blowing up. So, no, let's take this for example. I put this on my Facebook earlier. Let's say that me, Ben Archer, I declare war on my neighbor across the street. Okay? And so I go over to my neighbor's house and I burn it down. I break out all the windows. I kick in the doors. I just torch. I just fucking absolutely destroy the house over there. And I'm paid to do that. Somebody pays me to have an axe and some fuel and a lighter and all. And they supply me with all the goods that I need to go blow the fuck out of my neighbor across the street, all right? So I get done doing that, and then I say to the person whose fucking place I just destroyed, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Now I've destroyed you, and now that you're my bitch, I'm going to take everything out of your house that survived, and I'm going to rebuild. But I'm going to rebuild it with somebody else's money, and I'm going to make a whole bunch of money off doing that. Okay? You got that? That's like what happens when in Iraq and all these other places they bombed. Look at Halliburton. Look at who's the other one? Like Lockheed Martin, all these people, all the special contractors. And like I said, so my taxpayer money goes to fund the jet, or the fuel for the jet, or the bullets that come out of it, and the rockets. And then that taxpayer paid military goes in and rapes downtown Baghdad. And then my taxpayer money again is used to pay people, American companies, not Iraqis, not anybody else, American companies to go in and rebuild Iraq. So taxpayer money to destroy, taxpayer money to build. And I'm supposed to salute the flag and fucking hoorah over that, am I? Well, Ben, that's not the way it works. You go fuck yourself. That's not the way it works. That's exactly how it works. It's called the military-industrial complex, buddy. All right, that's exactly the way it works. And I don't give two shits who has military family. I don't care two shits who brother, sister, cousin, wife, whatever. If they're so stupid they went and signed up for the military, it's only because of two reasons. One, because that's all they're capable of doing. If you think you're somebody because you wake up in the morning and you put on your boots and you go run a couple of laps and you do a bunch of pull-ups and a bunch of push-ups and then you go eat with a bunch of people in the mess hall, your little slop and all your crap, and then you go out there and fucking clean off the underside of a fucking Humvee most of the day and know how to change an engine and this and that on military equipment, and then you go back to bed and you do the same thing every single day. If you like the repetition, if you like being told what to do, if you like having a strict thing, oh, you're doing this at 600 hours, you're doing this at 800 hours, you're doing this at 15, 20 hours, we got a briefing here and all that shit that I did earlier. If that's the type of life that you like or need, if you need that structure in your life, then great, go for it. If that's all you're capable of doing, but you need to admit to people that's what you need, that you need structure, that you need being told when to do something, how to do it, where to do it at, how good to do it, how many times to do it. If you need your fucking shit regimented fucking every single minute of every single fucking day, I pity you. I really, really, really pity you. And however, or it might be the second one, that you just think you're one of the biggest, baddest motherfuckers in the world. And most of the people that I know that have been in the military, they were exactly this way. I knew them in high school. Varsity football captain or varsity player, big guy always in the gym, got some tats now, thinking he's big and bad, got a little hot girlfriend, gets out, realizes that he wasted all of his time lifting weights, going after bitches, going to parties, trying to act cool and act tough in school, in high school, went to college, realized that fucking dumbass, can't get over the party and can't get over this, and then your whole life falls apart. And guess what you do? You go join the military. Yeah, as a last resort, somebody walks up to you. Actually, there's a third way here, which I'll get into in a second. But then during high school, here's what happened. One day, you're sitting around and blah, 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 and it's like, ooh, the National Guard's here with their rappelling rope. You want to go rappelling? So everyone goes into the gym, and you walk up the stairs, and you go to the top, and it's like, oh, it's a big rope. And you're gonna do this little thing where you put a little rope around yourself, and it's gonna get all up on your balls and this and that. It's gonna go underneath, and then you pull it really tight, and it's like, oh my crutch is hurting, but now I'm gonna go upside down this rope, and I'm gonna slide down, and it's gonna be so good. And then you get off, and you got like a big adrenaline rush. Like, where the fuck do I sign up? I get to do that every day. I get to jump over the sides of buildings and paraglide and parachute into a war zone and start shooting people like Call of Duty. Oh yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. And that's what they go off and do. So either three ways, you're absolutely fucking retarded and you need the structure in your life. 2, it's your last resort because you failed at everything else. Or 3, you got the manly macho part put into your head at fucking such an early age, plus the TV, plus the video games, plus the movies. And that's what you wanted to do. I'm gonna go kick some Haji ass, those fucking camel jockeys. But the question is, 2013, what are you fighting for? Huh? You're fighting for democracy over in the Middle East when you don't have democracy in your country? You're going to go fight for the right for women to drive over there and women to have rights? Huh? Why don't you go bomb those motherfuckers and tell them they should start allowing gay people to fuck in the middle of the street, because that's what they're having over here in America. Why don't you go tell the Afghanis, why don't you go tell the Hajis, why don't you go tell the Iraqis and the Iranis they need to start having, multi-sexual bathrooms where if a little Muslim woman feels like she's a boy trapped in a woman's body, that she should get to walk into the male bathroom, huh? Or the other way, if a little Muslim boy feels like he's a woman inside, he gets to just walk into the female bathroom and start pissing in the toilet, because that's liberalism, right? I don't see you promoting that over there, but that's what you do in this country. So you're going to go promote Western civilization in these countries? What Western civilization, huh? How to be fat, how to be happy, how to spend all your money on worthless shit, how to watch shitty TV shows, how to watch shitty sports all the time, huh? That's what you're going to go in there and do? That's what you're signing up for, to go promote that overseas, huh? You fucking idiots. There's nothing in Western civilization anymore. There's no nuclear family. There's no appreciation of kids. There's no appreciation of hard work. There's no appreciation of art or anything like that. It's all bastardized. It's all homosexual. And it's all ephemeral. And it's all garbage and gothic and nihilistic at the end of the day. That's what you're going to go promote over there, huh? You're going to go promote the brilliant democracy of America, and we've got a fucking tyrant, bastard-ass dictator in the United States of America, just like Iran has, just like Iraq has, just like all the rest of these fucking third-world despotic countries have. You're going to go over there and fucking play fucking Team America over there? Huh? Well, you got nothing that you need to celebrate over there. You got nothing that you can take from this country or anywhere in Western Europe, huh? And you're going to go over there also and say, oh, we're going to go over there and kill, the Muslims or whatever because they attacked us. And yet in my own country, in this country that you're supposed to be promoting, you can't even talk about the enemy. You can't, say how the enemy, what they do, throw battery ass into their kids' face. You can't say no to mosques. You can't say no to anything over here, huh? So you're going to go attack someone and say we're over there, protecting the country, but you're not? When the country is under fucking attack here by its own political structure, by its own politicians, by its own movie makers and TV makers, and and the network TV shows, and the media is corrupt in this place, and everywhere over here. What you should be celebrating in some part of a way is the Constitution of the United States of America. Isn't that what makes us better than everybody else? Isn't that what we have, equal rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We don't have that over here. That's being taken away from us. You're going to go promote the health care that we have over there? No, you're not, because it's fucked up over here. What are you going to do, go brag about the employment rate over there? No, it sucks over here too. There's nothing besides wanting to go kill and act tough. That's the only reason that you're joining the military, or because you have nothing else better to do with your life, and you're going to say, look, they're going to give me free aid, they're going to give me free health care, you'll give me some job training, and then when I get out, I'm going to be able to get a job. Look at how they treat you. You're going to go join the military? 40% of veterans need government assistance. Look at all the homeless veterans. Look at all the jobless veterans. They get no help from nobody, and that's what they do to you. That's what the globalists do to you. You sign up for their little shitty wars and their little shitty armies, and you go over there and lose an eye, lose a limb, and then you come back and you're fucked. They don't do a goddamn thing for you. And then you come back all depressed after killing a bunch of innocent people, realizing after you've seen it on the inside it's just a fucking horse and pony show, and that what you're doing is actually spreading terrorism over there, and you're supposed to be fighting terrorism, but you're the terrorists yourselves. And just because you do it with smiling with a fucking American flag and a little hoorah every now and then, and what do you do anyways? You sit around and watch, look at all the bases now of their TVs. They get to watch every NFL game, every NBA game, any NHL game. They get Cinemax and Stars and all that, and you got ping pong tables and this and that. It's like a home away from home. That's not how it used to be in the military, huh? They didn't have iPads and desktops and all this stuff to where you can do all this, and then, you know what? Fuck you if you're in the military, alright? Fuck you. If you got nothing better to do than think about killing people, and then what are you going to do? And like I said, you're going to come back here one day, and when there's no more wars, or when you're not needed anymore, when they've got all the fags in there, and they've got all the dykes in there, and they've got all the fucking niggers and all the spics in there, all the illegal immigrants, the white man's not going to be needed anymore. And when they start bringing in the Terminators and the drones, you're not going to be needed anymore. And then what are you going to do? You're going to turn into a fucking brown shirt like the fucking Nazis were. And then when Obama comes in with his, we're going to fund, we need a civilian army. It's just as well funded, just as well armed as the American. Yeah, and that's going to be you. You're going to try and come into my house and then try and take my gun, take my freedom, take my liberty, take all this stuff because some fucking other person told you to do it. You're going to be exactly the same. And then when you turn your guns, and when you turn your loyalty to the government and to your fucking puppet masters because they threaten to take away all the stuff that you've earned, all your medical bills, all your benefits, all your job, all of your this and that, they're going to start taking it all away unless you start disarming the American people, unless you start, taking them to the FEMA camps, you start putting up their fucking roadblocks and putting fucking AK-47s in my face when you're giving me a fucking ticket, and you want to take me off the side of the road and put on my pants and check inside my ass? Yeah, it's going to get there, and they're going to ask you to do that at some point, motherfuckers. They're going to say, you know what the real enemy is? The real enemy is not radicalism. The American people are now the enemy. Now you go get them. You do what we say, else we're going to fucking destroy your life. You go get those people, those nasty-ass civilians. You're a big, tough United States Marine Corps person, or Air Force, or Navy, or Coast Guard. You don't understand. There's little civilians. They've lived their lives in ease. You go get them now. And then when you try and do that, that's when you're going to fucking light a fire, motherfucker. And I'm going to tell you right now, Moulin Lobby, you come take it. But don't tread on me in victory or fucking death. That's what I say, victory or death. And you bunch of cowards, you're not going to win. You're never going to win. And all the dreams you ever had about getting all those medals, yeah, you're going to do it over a pile of fucking corpses. And then we're going to see how good you feel when the shit hits the fan. Huh? What are you going to do then when the person that gives you everything that you have tells you to fucking, arrest your family members, arrest your friends, arrest your neighbors, arrest all these other people? What are you going to do then, huh? Time to decide.